Continue our story with Grimlock and Optimus standing side by side as they continue to pulverize Thunderwing with everything they have. They're just hitting him with everything. Everything from the attack with Star Sabers to Grimlock's Fire Breath, using basically anything he can, along with his sword, his shield, everything. They're pretty much now gaining the upper hand on him and pushing him back. Rightfully so, as they're not letting him get a single inch ever again. Every shockwave is met with a perfectly calculated counter. They're not letting Thunderwing up for even a nanosecond, and they continue to pressure. Thunderwing tries to fly up. Optimus is able to get in the air, and this time he slices his wings off, both of them, with the Star Saber, and then actually allows Grimlock to follow up with a powerful Fire Breath, but then obviously does, get out the way so that Thunderwing doesn't crush him. While he is durable, he doesn't really want to, risk anything entirely. But this is where the Dinobots and the Predacons both pretty much go to kind of help him, if you will, adding their own firepower to the team. And well, this actually does make the difference, with Grimlock saying that he is happy to be back and happy that his team is here as well, to which they all do compliment on his new look. And well, they hope that the other Autobots can honestly just handle Sunder. I mean, it is one Cybertronian, right? What could the problem actually be? And this is where Slug also notes that right now, they have the perfect way to end this. Only 3 Decepticons, or 3 of Tarn's followers, or, well, 3 members of Tarn's team left. And this is where Grimlock say, alright, now let's stop all this yapping and get to scrapping, with the Dinobots laying into Thunderwing with a conjoined fire attack. But, wait a minute, we did forget about somebody, did we? Sunder. He uses his telepathic powers to not only push back the other Cybertrons like RC and Team Prime, but brings the ship closer. And Tarn watches this with absolute glee as he holds Dreadwing in order to watch as they execute their final operation. And this is where Sunder merges with their ship, looking more horrifying than he did before. And this is where he simply states, now everything ends. I finally won. I'll finally be able to restore Cybertron in Megatron's name, and thus begin a new age, the Age of Tarn. And Dreadwing, not liking this one bit, then decides to fight back, actually being able to flip kick Tarn off before blasting him with, I'll probably say, his cannon. But then he goes for his sword, right, and lunges right at Tarn. Tarn blocks it with his fusion cannon and then simply parries another punch from Dreadwing, and then not only disarms him but kicks him back, with Dreadwing doing likewise as he leg sweeps Tarn, and then grabbing his cannon, he begins to hit him with shot after shot after shot. But it's concentrated, actually beginning to crack Tarn's chest open and cracking the Decepticon insignia on his chest. And he's like, no, 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 and transforms and actually runs, stating that his death will not be here. And Dreadwing transforms and follows him. And this is where we then head back to Sunder, who's now trapping everyone in a mental scape. However, Arachnid isn't fazed by this one bit, and Sunder sees this and he's like, what? How? This is my world. There's no way you could obviously overcome this. To which Arachnid simply states, you don't know what's in my mind, do you? Oh, how fun this is going to be. And this is where Sunder's like, what do you mean this is going to be fun? Oh, honey, don't you know? Everyone has power over their mind. You deal with all these weaklings, and yet now that you have someone strong, you don't know how to handle it, do you? And this is where we pan over to one of Arachnid's many well-known deeds, the execution of Tailgate. But it's different. Why is Sunder here? And Sunder is, believe it or not, frightened by this. He thought he had control. He thought he had pure dominance in this mental scape. But Arachnid puts him in the same position as Tailgate and simply states, what's wrong, Sunder? not used to being the prey, not used to feeling what other people's victims have. You thought you had me, didn't you? Joke's on you. I live for this kind of stuff. And so he strung up, begging to be let go. While Tailgate didn't do this, Sunder feels this. And then Arachnid does the very same thing, like she did Tailgate, and snuffs out his spark. And Sunder can't believe this. He's being beaten in this own scape, and simply leaves Arachnid's mind stating, okay, maybe this can't be happening. There's no way they could reverse everything they went through onto me. I'm supposed to be the one in control. I'm the one that's meant to unleash the nightmares and destruction and everything upon people. And then he tries Knockout's mind. And this doesn't help as well. Knockout's a Decepticon doctor. But he does something a little bit different. And actually goes to the Terracon instance. And I'm going to say he definitely found this out, especially from his talks with Starscream, and likely saw some footage of it from the Nemesis and stuff like that. So, yeah, I definitely think this would be valid for, use and stuff like that. And this is where he actually makes the Terracons rip Tarn apart. Kind of imagining from his whole human zombie movies, if you will, right? And this is where he gets to the Dinobots, or at least some of them. Let's say it's just Swoop and Snarl, right? And, well, matter of fact, let's say it's the main 4 Dinobots, as Grimlock is currently dealing with, Thunderwing along with Optimus. And this is where Slug says, oh, you think you know pain? And this is where all the Dinobots show their combined moments of being under Shockwave's care. It's Shockwave testing on you, doing everything he can to control you, dissect you, and mutilate you. Everything Shockwave does without any regard or any remorse for human life. And funny enough, this absolutely does it. This does it. I mean, the whole Shockwave thing, Terracons, the combined Autobots going through their own tragedies of them ripping Decepticons apart or fighting against combiners and stuff like that, they overwhelm Sunder and they take him out of the mental plane. And he's like, no, this shouldn't be happening. Come on now. Did you really think you was going to beat us like this? All of our combined thoughts? As soon as we saw Arachnid do it, we just simply chimed in. By the way, how did it feel getting punched by Bruticus? No, this can't be. I should be invincible. I should be unstoppable like this. No one's ever beaten me in the mental scape. And to which Perceptor's like, but by my calculations, you've only done this to weak-minded individuals, never once dealing with a strong mind. By the way, they're the ones that's going to deal with you now. And this is where we actually see Abominus and Bruticus standing side by side as they look at the, I guess you could say, oversized Sunder. And they're like, so, which side do you want? I'll take the right. Very well, I will take the left. And well, not only do they surround Sunder, but they start pummeling him for a little bit. Meanwhile, back in Kaon itself, Tarn is driving through it. With his Decepticon insignia crack, he's like, no, my end will not be here. I will inspire generations. I will be the next generation itself. Everything will be mine in Megatron's name. And this is where Dreadwing is following him like, where are you heading? There is no reason to... Oh, I see it now. Want to die where it all started. Is that what you came here for? To which Tarn says, I came to make Cybertron mine, to rebuild it in Megatron's image. But no, you took that away from me. The Autobots took that away from me. You took Megatron away from me. Meanwhile, back with Optimus and Grimlock, they're now at the end of the battle with Thunderwing. And well, considering his teammates did get trapped in a mental scape, Grimlock wasn't too worried about them getting hit, as he and Optimus pretty much just begin to overwhelm Thunderwing, finally putting everything into one final blast. Optimus lays into him with the Star Saber's full energy and begins to slowly tear apart Thunderwing. However, it's slowly. It's not quite enough power just yet. And this is where he simply states, if you're going to make a move now, old friend, now is the time. This is taking longer than I expected. To which Grimlock is like, fine, give me a minute. I know exactly what we need. And so Grimlock transforms into his beast form and, well, channels everything he has. Every bit of fire he got from the Ore 13, even his own fire breath, this new power and everything. He simply makes sure his foot is firmly planted on the ground and unleashes absolute carnage, fury, primal dominance. And this type of fire combines with the Star Saber's energy, and it begins to chip away at Thunderwing, ultimately incinerating him, leaving nothing but his head. Huh. Well, not bad. Meanwhile, Arachnid is simply done here, with her actually dragging the now beaten down and shipless or armorless Sunder towards the Predacons. And she simply states, Your Highness, you now have your first duty as a free citizen of Cybertron, executing Sunder. And this is where Predaking makes his hand into a blaster and immediately kills Sunder, ending his reign, with Skylink saying, now that was satisfying. Meanwhile, Grimlock says, yeah, indeed, as he pretty much picks up Thunderwing's head, and using both of his hands, by the way, because again, Thunderwing is pretty huge, he crushes it completely, making sure there is no way this thing could ever come back at all. And this is where he simply states, how's everyone doing? To which his children run over and simply state, yeah, they're doing absolutely great. How do we do, Papa? How do we do? To which Grimlock is like, I am very proud of how strong and how great of warriors you became. But, Arachnid simply chimes in, hey, has anyone seen Dreadwing and Tarn? This battle isn't over yet. Where is he? And to which Optimus simply states, that is very correct. Where is, my friend, our new ally? The possible future of Cybertron as well. And to which, this is where RC, managing to get her bearings after dealing with the mental scape along with the rest of the Autobots, they pretty much inform him that they seem to be heading deeper towards Kaon and heading towards the pit. To which Onslaught says, now it all makes sense. If Tarn was going to lose, he was going to lose on his own terms. He wants to go where it all started. He wants to go where it all began all those years ago. And this is where we would pretty much close out the scene with kind of an obvious scene here. Dreadwing and Tarn both standing off on the opposite sides of the pits of Kaon, ready for the final battle to decide whose ideology is right, the old Decepticon tradition or the new Decepticon tradition.